Fox Sports.
We are the Fourth. We are LA.
It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Prime Ticket presents the Dodgers as they take on the Miami Marlins. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Saturday night to you, wherever you may be. The Miami Marlins have won 13 of the last 21 that they have played here at Dodger Stadium, so they've found a home. For the Dodgers, they've lost 8 in a row. For the Dodgers, they need a little boost. They can look at the history books. In 2004, 2006, and 2008, the Dodgers had 8-game losing streaks and each time wound up in the postseason. In fact, there have been 29 teams losing an 8-game streak going back into the postseason. 3 of them actually turned out to be world champions. On the mound, Hyun-Jin Ryu for the Dodgers with a record of 3-2. First time he'll go against Miami. His 2 losses at the hands of the Giants. Kevin Slowey on the mound. He has a record of 1-2 for Miami. So it's the Dodgers and the Fish. We'll have the ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this. California Hyundai dealers. By AT&T UVerse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. And by Jack in the Box. The Chipotle Chicken Club combo is back for a limited time.
We are moments away from first pitch on an absolutely gorgeous night here at Dodger Stadium. Temperature 74, very clear, and hopefully the Dodgers can see the pitches perfectly. Steve Lyons, Patrick O'Neill, time to put an end to this 8-game losing streak. Enough already. There's a lot of things we could point to because of the reasons, but I look at a pitcher as the stopper. I think it's up to Hyun-Jin Ryu tonight to really throw a great performance and get the Dodgers out of the slump.
The Dodgers have a few guys that they could run out there and prevent this streak from continuing on. Ryu gets the ball tonight, and he's been pretty darn good. He's never failed to pitch at least 6 innings for the Dodgers this season, so he's going to give you an honest effort, give you a quality start out there. Last time out, got beat up a little bit by San Francisco, but you got to like the way he pitches. He uses all 4 quadrants of the strike zone. We'll mix in that breaking ball. He's got an excellent changeup to keep hitters off balance.
You got to wonder about the team's confidence when you lose 8 in a row. I know you've been there, Steve. What's going through the players' minds right now? They just got to get something going, and one game at a time.
Yeah, they're down, and you'd expect them to come out there with a little bit of mojo, but it's hard to be that way when you haven't played well. You feel like you're faking it a little bit, but there's that old saying out there, sometimes you got to fake it till you make it, and that's what they have to do right now.
All right, we shall see. Sit back. Let's see if the Dodgers can crack the code. Get back in the win column. When we return, Vince Scully has the call for you next on Prime Ticket. Enjoy the game.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium. It is a beautiful time of day. Plenty of summer in the air for sure. All of right field is still basked in sunlight. The rest of the field in shade. And the Dodgers and Marlins ready to do battle in Game 2 of the 3-game series. Tonight is Bark in the Park night. So we've had a lot of puppy dogs. And we also have them little kids out on the field getting autographs from their favorite players. So the dogs are here, all in the right field pavilion. Quite a parade. There appear to be thousands of people who had brought their pets. So in that as the background, the Dodgers try to beat Mike Redmond and the Miami Marlins. And the visiting Marlins lineup looks this way. Atheny Echevarria will lead off at shortstop. Matt Diaz in left field. Placido Polanco at third base. Justin Ruggiano is in center. Marcell Ozuna is in right. Miguel Olivo behind the plate. Greg Dobbs at first base. Nick Green will be at second base. And Kevin Slowey on the mound. On the mound for the Dodgers, the big left-hander Hyun-Jin Ryu. Ryu is 3-2. Both of his defeats at the hands of the Giants. One game with the Giants, he allowed 3 earned runs. and the other one he allowed 4. In between, he pitched well to take apart Pittsburgh and Arizona and Colorado. So Ryu getting ready. It should be his first shot against the Marlins and vice versa, with Hechavarria ready to start it off. Themi Hechavarria, a little more than a week ago in Philadelphia, tied the club record for RBIs in a single game. He had 7. He had a bases-loaded triple in the first inning, and then for good measure hit a grand slam in the third. So Hechavarria is from Cuba. Doesn't speak much English, we understand. Outside of that big day, he's been struggling, hitting just .169. He's 24 years old. Ryu's first pitch is low, and we're underway. 1 ball and no strikes. Uribe plays on the edge of the grass, defending against the bunt. Hechavarria, 5'11", 185, about 24. And Ryu comes right back. Ground ball right to where Uribe was, and he promptly throws him out. So 1 away. We'll take a look at the Dodgers with the leather here in the first inning. And you have Gonzalez and Schumacher, Gordon and Uribe, Crawford, Kemp, and Ethier in the outfield, Ellis behind the plate. So Rio gets 1 out. Matt Diaz coming up. Summer is here, if only for the evening. It is 76 degrees as the game starts. So Matt Diaz, right-hand hitter, takes low. 1 ball and no strikes. Diaz grounded out as a pinch hitter last night, 0 for 1. The next pitch to him is way off the plate. 2-0 the count to Matt Diaz. In the 12 games that Diaz has played here, he's hit over 400. Ryu ready now, and the 2-0 pitch, right-hand hitter fouls it away, and the count 2-1. So Matt Diaz waiting at the plate. Contract purchase from New Orleans just about 10 days ago. Into the windup goes Ryu. He comes back 2-1, and it's low, ball 3. 3-1. Hyun-Jin Ryu trying to win his 4th, trying to snap the 8-game losing streak. On deck, Placido Polanco. Diaz fouls that one away, and the count stays 3-2. Diaz in and out of the box. Matt's from Portland, Oregon, lives in Florida. And the next pitch to him is a ground ball to the right side. Schumacher is up with it and makes the play. So we have 2 down in the first inning on a couple of ground balls. And the veteran, Placido Polanco, coming up. Polanco, the veteran, hitting .242. He's had a tricky back, so every day when he comes to the ballpark, the big question, how is it today? And he played last night, right back in again, and takes a strike. Polanco will be 38 in October. He's from the Dominican Republic, originally drafted by the Cardinals. Takes an off-speed pitch, but it misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. Polanco first came up to the Cardinals in 1998. He's had a marvelous career. Now the 1-1 pitch, another off-speed pitch and high ball 2-1. Interestingly enough, when Polanco was growing up in the Dominican Republic, he was allowed to play baseball only twice a week. 2-1 pitch is swung on, hit in the air to right field. Ethier goes back, turns, and makes the catch for the out. So 1-2-3 first inning for Miami, and we go to the bottom of the first. Marlins nothing, and the Dodgers coming up. 12 pitches to retire Miami. But take a look at the Dodger lineup now. You have Carl Crawford in left field, D. Gordon at short, Adrian Gonzalez at first, and Matt Kemp cleanup in center. Andre Ethier in right, A.J. Ellis behind the plate, Skip Schumacher at second base, Juan Uribe at third, and Hyunjin Ryu on the mound. On the mound for Miami is Kevin Slowey, born in Conroe, Texas, and lives in Pittsburgh. 6'3", 195, originally signed by the Twins, had one big year for them. 3 years ago, he won 13. First pitch to Carl Crawford, in for a strike, and the count 0-1. So Slowey trying to keep things going for Miami as he pitches inside. Miami, for the first time, trying to win 2 games in a row. Crawford batting .314, 5 home runs, 8 runs batted in. Fouls the next pitch back. Kevin Slowey has been saved from 2 losses, though with a record of 1-2. The bullpen has bailed him out a little bit. He's had 5 quality starts. The 1-2 pitch is swung on and fouled away. And if you're expecting ground balls or air balls, you figure you're going to get a lot of balls hit in the air. He is not a ground ball pitcher, the opposite, let's say, of Trevor Cahill of Arizona. Crawford lifts one to left field immediately. Coming in is Diaz to make the catch. So Crawford a fly ball to left, 1 down, and the batter will be D. Gordon. We'll set the fish. They shake up this way with Dobbs and Green on the right side, Echevarria and Polanco on the left, Diaz, Ruggiano, and Ozuna in the outfield, Miguel Olivo behind the plate, Kevin Slowey on the mound. Slowey usually has pretty good control as D. Gordon checks in. D hitting .273. Slowey ready, delivers, fastball swung on and missed. Slowey's earned run average is 1.8. Opposition hitting only .213. Another swing and a foul ball, and the count 0-2. Some other notes about Kevin Slowey. We told you about air balls as opposed to ground balls. He gets a lot of 0-2 counts as he has right now. In fact, this will be the 60th 0-2 count he's had this year. Little pop fly to Echevarria. So that'll do it for Gordon. And we have 2 down in the first inning, and the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez. Adrian Gonzalez certainly thought he had the Dodgers off and running last night. 3-run home run in the first inning. Since then, he went 0 for 3, and the Dodgers went down with him. Hitting .339, 4 home runs, 26 runs batted in. Slowey both feet on the rubber as Gonzalez checks in. Slowey ready in the right-handed delivers. Adrian promptly bangs one down the right field line for a base hit. Up with it is Ozuna and gets it back in. So a 2-out single to right by Adrian Gonzalez, and that will bring up Matt Kemp. So Adrian, first ball swinging, drills it into right field. Matt Kemp working on a little streak. Matt has hit safely in 9 in a row. Hitting .271 with a home run, 14 runs batted in. Hitting .333 against left-handers, .241 against right. So Matt checks in. Gonzalez at first, short lead, held on by Dobbs, and the pitch to Kemp in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Hitters have been very aggressive, just like Adrian Gonzalez. He would be the 4th highest rate of a pitcher who gives up a base hit on the first pitch. The next one is in the dirt, scrambling save by Olivo, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. A couple of other notes about Slowey. Right-hand hitters are batting just .172 against him. he's been brilliant on the road. His earned run average on the road is less than 1. So Kevin Slowey looks in to get a sign. 29-year-old right-hander out of Texas and Pennsylvania. Back to Kemp, ground ball to third. Nice pick down there by Polanco, and they get the fourth play. So no runs, 1 hit, a man left. At the end of an inning, no score. And the Dodgers. A reminder, the Cardinals will be here on the 24th, and we bring that up because one of the outstanding rookie pitchers, Shelby Miller of the Cardinals, he leads with 51 strikeouts. Ryu right back of him, and we saw a big Jose Fernandez pitch last night. A lot more on Shelby Miller, however, in between pitches. Fernandez a spectator tonight, and the first pitch is swung on and missed at the plate by Justin Ruggiano. Originally drafted by the Dodgers, never got to play here, but now he comes in as a Miami Marlin. He takes off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Shelby Miller retired 27 straight after a leadoff hit yesterday. Keep that part of it in mind. The next pitch grounded to the hole, backhanded by Gordon on the money with his throw, just like that, 1 away. So Shelby Miller retired 27 straight. Adam Wainwright followed that up today, no-hitting the Rockies for 7 1/3. Nolan Arenado singled, but Adam would go on to pitch a 2-hit shutout. So before Arenado's hit, the Rockies had gone 49 at-bats without a hit. The longest stretch since the Dodgers went 50 at-bats without a hit in late September of a championship year in 1981. Here's Marcell Ozuna, and the right-hand hitter takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Ozuna just recently called up. As soon as he got in a few games, he was 6 for 11. He has cooled off since then. So Marcell, who spells it with 2 L's at the end, waiting at the plate. Ryu from the first base side of the rubber comes right back with a pitch that's low. The last time the Cardinals got consecutive shutouts, allowing 2 hits or fewer, 1967, Bob Gibson and Ray Washburn. Next pitch is swung on, fouled away. 2-2 the count to Marcell Ozuna. Marcell is from the Dominican Republic, cousin of Pablo Ozuna, who played in the big leagues for a while. The 2-2 pitch on the way is taken just inside, ball 3. Ozuna was signed just 4 years ago. He's 22 years old. And a ground ball to the left is short. Gordon is on it, throws him out. 2 down here in the second inning, and the batter will be Miguel Olivo. So the veteran catcher coming up. Oliva struggling, not playing much. He's from the Dominican, originally signed by the Oakland A's. He's played with the White Sox, the Padres, the Marlins, the Royals, the Rockies, Mariners, and back to the Marlins again. And he takes ball 1. An even 6, a good 230-pounder. Now the 1-0 pitch on the way. That misses. 2-0. Olivo related to Tony Pena. 2-0 pitch to Miguel, and the big catcher takes ball 3. He's hit as many as 23 home runs for the Royals, so Ryu working very carefully. Greg Dobbs, the left-hand batter, on deck. 3-0 pitch on the way. That's drilled in there for a strike. 3-1. Miguel Olivo is one of those fair birds. He homered in his first major league at bat back in 2002. He takes a look at another strike. Only one other White Sox player had done that. That was Carlos Lee. Olivo back up. 3-2 the count. Into the windup goes Ryu, and the pitch way inside. Ball 4. So with 2 out, Olivo draws a walk, and the batter will be Greg Dobbs. Dobbs, pretty good hitter. He's the only left-hand hitter in the lineup against Ryu. Last night they had Pierre, Dietrich. They had a couple of lefties. Dobbs last night went 0 for 4. Greg batting .216 with a home run and 7 runs batted in. Olivo over there at first base has not had a stolen base this year. And the pitch at the plate off for ball 1. 1-0. So Greg Dobbs, good left-hand batter, fine first baseman. Born here in Los Angeles, lives in Moreno Valley, and was originally drafted by the Mariners. He has a look at a strike, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Greg Dobbs went to Long Beach State. Astros tried to sign him. He transferred to the University of Oklahoma, had a huge year there, and signed with the Mariners. Swings, rolls one foul over to the Miami dugout, and the count 1-2 to Greg Dobbs. Dobbs will be 35 in July. First came up to the big leagues in 2004. Now the next pitch is swung on. Slow roller to short. The play has to go to first. Gordon makes it accurately, and that's that. So no runs, no hits, a man left. At the end of an inning and a half, no score. Bottom of the second inning. You know, tomorrow, give your mom the gift of Dodger baseball for Mother's Day. Their first 40,000 fans in attendance receive a tote bag, compliments of Murad Skincare. And after the game, moms and their families invited to enjoy a walk around the park. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Bottom of the second inning. The Dogs are here. Happy crowd in attendance. And it'll be Andre Ethier, A.J. Ellis, and then Skip Schumacher in that order. One of the things about Slowey, as we try to tell you a little bit about him, the hitters, 70% of the hitters go after the first pitch. So we'll see what happens with Ethier. Andre checking in. Slowey's pitch is taken for a strike, and the count 0-1. Andre really trying to get started. He hasn't put up nearly the numbers you expect him to put up. Hitting just .235, 3 home runs, 10 runs batted in, swings, fouls the next one away, and he's in a hole 0-2. Leadoff hitters, such as in this case Ethier or Crawford, leadoff hitters have struggled against him, hitting less than 185. But this time a drive into the gap in left center field, juggled, knocked down by Ruggiano, and into second base goes Andre Ethier with a long double. So the Dodgers get their second hit. Gonzalez, remember, singled. It looked like a sinker down and away. Ethier just went with it and singled and turned it into a double. Racing over to cut it off was Ruggiano, but he couldn't handle it cleanly. But there will be a double. So Ellis, Schumacher, and Uribe now trying to pick him up. Ellis waiting. Ethier takes his lead. Slowey ready and delivers a bunt back to the box. The play will go to first base. So Ellis, who had 2 singles and a double last night, sacrifices Ethier to third. And with 1 out, Skip Schumacher coming up. Another thing about Slowey, up until today anyway, he has been very, very tough with runners in scoring position. Opponents are hitting 4 for 30. That would be a 133 batting average against him. Of course, now you have a runner at third with 1 out, the infield drawn up, and the batter Schumacher. Slowey looks over at third, comes to the plate, a fake by Olivo to throw, and he drops it. No play. 0-1 the count to Skip Schumacher. Schumacher hitting 158, 2 runs batted in. Tim Wallach over to say something to Ethier as he walks down the line. Slowey hands it aside, reading Olivo. Now the right-hander delivers, and Schumacher takes low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Schumacher again looking at Wallach, who's talking to Ethier. In case you're wondering about a squeeze, 1 out. The next pitch coming up, and that's taken low and inside. Ball 2, 2-1. Schumacher again checking Wallach, who says something to Ethier. 2 balls, 1 strike. Slowey ready, looks over at Andre, comes to the plate, gets a strike, and the count 2-2. Slowey in his last game, he had a comfort level. Miami scored 5 in the first inning, led 9-0 after 3, and he retired 13 of the 15 batters he faced. 2-2 pitch coming up now to Skip Schumacher. Right-handed deal, crack that, and a flare to right. It's going to drop in for the base hit. Ethier will score, and the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead. The Schumacher cracked the bat. You could hear it twang, but he'll settle for that and a base hit and a run batted in. So Ethier doubles and scores. Schumacher picks him up, and Juan Uribe will be coming up. Bat split right down the middle. but he was strong enough to muscle it in front of Osuna. So 1-0 Dodgers, second inning. And here's Juan Uribe. Uribe appeared as a pinch hitter last night, singled to center, and was then picked off second base. And the pitch to Juan, ground ball by the diving Polanco into left field. Stopping at second is Schumacher. So the Dodgers have something extra going now. First and second, 3 hits in the inning, and Ryu coming up. One to nothing Dodgers. In the inning, you had Ethier double to left center. Schumacher split his bat but dropped a fly ball single to right for the run. Uribe grounding one through the hole on the left side. And here's Ryu. With the bat, Ryu does not have a sacrifice. He does have 4 hits and a run batted in. He shows bunt. Out of a stretch goes Slowey. Checks the runners, now the pitch, and bunted. Good bunt. Picking it up is Slowey. He has to fire it to first in time. So Ryu does his job and advances runners to second and third and leads it up to the leadoff man, Carl Crawford. So Hyun-Jin Ryu drops down a good bunt. He'll get a hero's welcome in the dugout. Carl Crawford flied to left field in the first inning. So Slowey has given up 3 hits and a bunt to put him in a lot of trouble. It's 1-0 Dodgers, but they have runners at second and third. On deck, D. Gordon. Slowey ready and delivers, and it's low and inside to Carl. 1 ball and no strikes. Kevin Slowey, originally drafted by the Twins. He won 13 one year. 2010 he was 13-6. Slowey set, checks the runners. The 1-0 pitch swung on, ground ball up the middle, but Echeverria was shading him up there and throws him out. So Crawford grounds to the shortstop. The Dodgers get 1, leave 2, and at the end of 2, Dodgers 1, Marlins nothing. The cream is beginning to rise to the top. So we take a look at the divisional leaders. Atlanta leads Washington by 1 game in the East. The Cardinals lead Cincinnati by 3 in the Central. The Giants won today. They were tied with Arizona. Arizona's in the bottom of the 5th inning, losing 1-0. So for the moment, the Giants are back up on top. Meanwhile, we go the third inning, 1-0 Dodgers, and it will be Nick Green, followed by the pitcher Jeff Slowey and the leadoff man Echevarria. So Green, right-hand batter, and the first pitch from Ryu works away, ball one. 1-0 the count. Nick Green is from Pensacola, Florida, lives in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Swings, doesn't get it. Originally signed by the Braves out of DeKalb Junior College. He's 24 years old, 6 foot, 180. Nick Green has played a lot and swings, fouls it away. Played with quite a few teams, starting with the Braves, then the Devil Rays and the Yankees, the Mariners, the Red Sox, even with the Dodgers for 5 games, the Blue Jays, and back with the Marlins. And down he goes on that pitch. So Ryu puts down Green, and we have 1 out in the third inning. The hitting instructor for the Miami Marlins, a very, very successful hitter in his day, Tino Martinez. He has 4 World Series rings, all of them with the Yankees. Won the Silver Slugger Award in '97, Home Run Derby winner. I wish Tino could have moved away so that you'd have a better look at him. But a fine hitter and a fine coach who continues to remain anonymous thanks to the positioning of the protective fence in front of the Miami dugout. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Slowey waits, and Ryu right back with a pitch hit in the air down the right field line. Ethier crossing the line, can't get it. It's a foul ball. That was close. Slowey almost dropped it down the line. Slowey with the bat is not only 0 for 12, he has struck out 8 times. He doesn't figure to be much of a threat, but you never know. All right, Kevin back up to the plate. 1-2 the count. Slowey rolls it foul the other way. In that Giant game that moved them into first place, Baumgartner went 7 innings, struck out 11. Here's the 1-2 pitch coming up, and that's just off the plate. 2-2 the count to Kevin Slowey. On deck, Athene Echevarria. And the 2-2 pitch is popped up, foul ground. Gonzalez racing in front of the dugout, takes it, drops it, and no put out. Adrian had the ball in his glove, but he never had possession, and it dropped while he was on the dead run. So Slowey will stay up there. A.J. Ellis went way towards the first base coaching box. They're going to give Adrian Gonzalez an error. So the Gold Glover doesn't usually drop him when he gets the leather on it, but he did that time. And that will do it for Slowey for the second strikeout of the inning for Ryu. So with 2 out, Echevarria coming up. He grounded to third in the first inning. Dodgers lead 1-0, top of the third. Nice crowd on hand. A beautiful, beautiful evening. 76 degrees when the game started. We had 41,000 last night. We might have more than that counting dogs tonight. The pitch missing, a little low. 1 ball and no strikes to Echevarria. Shortstop 0 for 1. Bends at the knees and waist. Ryu back, and the pitch again just misses outside. 2-0 the count. Surprising to realize that the Fish have won 13 of the last 21 here. The pitch in for a strike. Of course, the Fish had some pretty famous names, and they dealt them away. Though this is not that kind of a club. The rebuilding team. a shot right between the feet of Ryu and on through into center field. So a 2-out base hit by Hechavarria, and that'll bring up Matt Diaz. I mean, remember some of those names of the former Miami Marlins? How about Jose Reyes, Mark Burley, Josh Johnson, John Buck, and Emilio Bonifacio? They slashed about $160 million in future obligations. Pitch now to Diaz, swung on, fouled away, and the count 0-1. Diaz rolled out to Schumacher. Matt spells the name so that as soon as you look at it, you want to say Diaz. However, as he says, no, my grandfather and my father came over from Barcelona, and that's their pronunciation, and that's the way it'll be. Strike one pitch on the way. A broken bat flare, and to catch it is Uribe. So Diaz breaks his bat, pops it up. For the Marlins, no runs, a hit, a man left. The end of 2.5, 1-0 Dodgers. Check the Dodger calendar just to let you know where they will be. They're going to be here tomorrow, of course, the final game with the Marlins. Then Washington will be here starting the 13th. Bryce Harper is coming off the DL, so the brilliant young outfielder might very well play in all 3 games. Then the Dodgers go away to Atlanta and Milwaukee, and they come back for the Cardinals and the Angels. So make your plans, and hopefully we'll see you soon out here at Dodger Stadium. Gordon, Gonzalez, and Kemp, bottom of the 3rd, 1-0 in favor of the Dodgers. And Kevin Slowey ready and deals, and the first pitch is high, ball 1. Gordon showing bunt, hitting .261. 3 runs batted in. Now the next pitch to him is off the plate, 2-0 the count. Kevin Slowey was a teammate of R.A. Dickey, the knuckleballer. And Kevin and R.A. both very, very intelligent. Gordon, a long fly ball to deep right field to the wall. And this one, believe it or not, is over the wall. A home run for D. Gordon. So Gordon, the last thing you would expect, a little power from him, and he's able to clear the right field wall for the home run, and that gives the Dodgers a 2-0 lead. And Adrian Gonzalez coming up. So Gordon gave it his best swing, and it was good enough. So he's getting 5s in the dugout. Dee Gordon had 1 home run with the Dodgers last year, so that's his second. Meanwhile, Adrian takes away 1 ball and no strike. Take another look. Gordon got all of it. Racing back on the ball went Ozuna, and he just ran out of real estate. So 2-0 Dodgers. Slowey's pitch lined into right field. Base hit for Gonzalez. And the batter will be Matt Kemp. A moment ago we were talking about Kevin Slowey and R.A. Dickey. They were teammates, and one of the things they talked about was going to Tanzania. Kevin Slowey, in his senior year of high school, he had 1420 on his SATs. And R.A. Dickey is a very bright fella. So they decided they would go to Tanzania and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So they eventually took off. They had 2 local guides. They had a cook, and they set out for the climb. It took 7 days and covered more than 50 miles of glacial, sometimes treacherous terrain. Pitch swung on and fouled back by Matt Kemp. 0-1. Mount Kilimanjaro is over 19,000 feet high. So that was quite an adventure to 2 ball players, 2 pitchers, Kevin Slowey and R.A. Dickey. They climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Strike 1 pitch is sliced into right field. That's a base hit. Charging is Ozuna. Stopping at second is Gonzalez. So the Dodgers come out roaring against Slowey. Gordon a home run. Gonzalez a single to right. And Kemp a line drive single to right. That will bring up Andre Ethier, who had doubled earlier. For Matt Kemp, by the way, he now has hit safely in 10 straight. Ethier doubled the left center in the second inning. Dodgers lead 2-0, trying to add some more. So Kevin Slowey being pushed around a little bit after giving up 3 hits and a run in the second inning, but has given up 6 hits in the last 1 inning plus. Right-hander ready and delivers, and it's off the plate away. 1 ball and no strikes to Andre Ethier. Andre hitting .242, hitting .255 against left-handers. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Swung on, whacked into right field for a base hit. Ozuna up with it, and the bases will be loaded. The throw into second base, and don't you know, they get Kemp rounding the bag. So Matt Kemp rounding second, thinking, I'm sure, that Gonzalez would score. But Gonzalez did not score, and Kemp tried to get back to the bag and was nailed. So Ethier, a line drive single. Ozuna gunned it back in, and to cut it off and make the diving tag was Echevarria. So that slows down things a little bit. 9-6 if you're scoring on the base hit. Kemp must have been 40-50 feet down the line. Realized that running ahead of him, Gonzalez was not about to try to score, and he was exposed. So first and third with 1 out, and the batter is A.J. Ellis. Slowey hoping that break will turn things around as a fastball high, ball 1. For the Dodgers, basically, let's look at it. Adrian Gonzalez is a station-to-station runner. He's not going to score from second on a base hit very often. He's not going to go from first to third on a base hit. 1 ball and no strikes the count. Slowey checks the runners. Back he comes inside, and he's behind 2 balls and no strikes. Dodgers with 2 runs on 8 hits. We're in the third. Ellis back up and waiting with runners at the corners. Out of a stretch goes Kevin Slowey, and the right-hander delivers. That's swung on and foul back. 2-1 the count. Ellis sacrificed in the second inning. had moved Ethier to third, and he came home on a base hit by Schumacher. It was a broken bat single to right field. Last night, A.J. had a double and 2 singles. The 2-1 pitch coming up. We'll check the runners. They hold. It swung on and foul back, and the count 2-2. A.J. Ellis, in looking at his numbers, he has struck out 19 times. He's walked the same. Ellis back up, 2 balls and 2 strikes the count. Slowly, very deliberate, reading signs, hands at his sides. Miguel Olivo shuffling cards behind the plate. And the 2-2 pitch coming up, and time. Ron Copa holding up his hands. Ellis hanging at the plate, tired of waiting. 1 out, 2-2 to count to Ellis. Here comes the pitch, and it is inside under the hands, ball 3. So now the Dodgers have to check with Wallach. Andre Ethier wants to know if he's going to be going 3-2. Dodgers lead 2-0. We're in the 3rd inning, 1 out. Ethier poised. He does not go on ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So time for the moment. Chuck Hernandez going out to the mound, the pitching coach. In the inning, the Dodgers have had a chance to really chase Slowey. It started with D. Gordon, of all people, leading off with a home run. Then Gonzalez, a single to right. Then Kemp, a line drive single to right. Then Ethier, a line drive single to right. But Gonzalez unable to score from second, stopped at third. Kemp automatically running, trying to go from first to third, was exposed, rounding second, and they nailed him for a huge out. Now Ellis walks, so the bases are loaded, and Skip Schumacher coming up. Schumacher has 1 grand slam. Left-hand batter. Slowey's pitch is swung on, hit in the air down the left field line, carrying foul and back into the crowd. 0-1 the count. Dodgers lead 2-0 here in the 3rd. Trying to hook a fish, and then the finale will be tomorrow. Tom Kohler and Chris Capuano. 0-1 the count. Schumacher lifts a fly ball down the left field line, coming to catch it and dropping it is Diaz. All the runners move up. All the runners appear to be safe on that pop fly. But then let's check third. I'm not sure about the call at third base. And it was an out call. There was so much hesitation. Ethier didn't know what to do. And by the time he got to third, he was late. Little pop fly. Diaz came in, tried to backhand it on a dead run, which is a very tough thing to do. Recovered and threw the ball to third just in time to force Andre Ethier. So Schumacher hits into an elaborate force play. 9-5. So the Dodgers now have Uribe coming up, but they've only scored twice in the inning and lead 3-0. It looks like it would have been a barn burner, and they would have chased Slowey by now, except for the out of Kemp rounding second, and just now the out at third on Ethier. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Right-handed deals, and a big swing by Uribe fouls it back, and the count 1-1. Dodgers 3 runs, 8 hits. The Marlins no runs, 1 hit. One ball and 1 strike. Now Slowey delivers a breaking ball that drops in nicely. And the count 1-2. Slowey basically fastball, curveball, and change. Not overpowering. Uribe trying to pick somebody up. The 1-2 pitch is taken a little low. So the Dodgers, one way or another, got Gordon home, but of course he did that under his own power, the home run. And then they finally got Gonzalez home. 2-2 pitch on the way. Right-hander Slowey delivers very high, ball 3. 3-0 Dodgers, third inning. Kevin Slowey on the rocks. Ryu waiting on deck. Uribe, the seventh man to come to the plate. And the 3-2 pitch, runners go, and it's lost in the dirt. Bounces back towards the mound, though in a moment the bases would be loaded. Olivo had no idea where the ball went, but fortunately for him, it carried him back towards the pitcher. So Uribe draws a walk. It will be Ryu coming up with the bases loaded, 2 out, and the Dodgers getting the minimum out of what's transpired. They've had a home run, they've had 3 singles and 2 walks, and they got 2 runs. Dodgers this year with the bases loaded are hitting 138, and the fastball is high to Ryu, ball 1. Hyun-jin sacrifice in the second inning. So Ellis, Schumacher, and Uribe are all out there. You would think after everything that has happened, the Dodgers would have scored at least 5. But they've had an out at second and an out at third. 1-0 the count. Matt Kemp, of course, would always go from first to third on a base hit, except there in front of him was Adrian Gonzalez. 1 ball and no strikes. The next pitch to Rio is foul back. 1-1. Dodgers have had the bases loaded prior to tonight 29 times, and they've come up with 4 hits. On the fielder's choice on Schumacher, he does get a run batted in. Here's the 1-1 pitch, swung on and foul back. 1-2 the count. That was on the pop fly, caught and dropped by Diaz. The Ryu still there. Ryu has 4 hits. Remember, he had 3 of them against the Giants. The next pitch is swung on and foul back. In the inning, Gordon homered, Gonzalez single, Kemp single Gonzalez to second, Ethier single Gonzalez to third. However, Kemp rounded second and was nailed. Then there was a walk. Then the pop fly caught and dropped, and the force play at third. And here's the 1-2 pitch to Ryu, fouled away. Upstairs down the right field line. One and two, he's up there hacking away with a chance to really help his own cause. Ellis, Schumacher, and Uribe all out on the lines. And the 1-2 pitch to Ryu. Swung on, ground ball to first, fielded there by Dobbs, and that's the inning. So the Dodgers sent 8 men to the plate and managed somehow to get 2 of them home, even though one got alone on his home run. And at the end of 3, it's the Dodgers 3, the Marlins nothing. Retailers. It is brought to you by your Southern California Kia retailers. Visit mysocalkia.com. By AT&T, rethink possible. And by CarMax. Start the search for your next car at CarMax. Dodgers lead 3-0 as we go to the fourth inning. A reminder, spend your summer at the ballpark with the Dodger 10-game summer plan with great matchups like the Giants, the Red Sox, the Cubs, and Yankees. For more information about the Dodgers 10-game summer plan, visit Dodgers.com/mini-plans or give us a call, 323-DODGERS. 3 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers, led by home run hitting D. Gordon. Talking to senior umpire Tom Hallion for the moment. For Miami, no runs, 1 hit. Placido Polanco, who's been playing this game in the big leagues since 1998 with the Cardinals, Phillies, Tigers, and now the Marlins. He is a career .298 hitter with over 2,000 hits, and yet he really struggles here. Just one of those things, if you asked him, he'd probably say, I just don't see the ball the way I do in some of the other ballparks. His career batting average here, 157, and he's a very good hitter. So Polanco hitting .288 coming into this ball game. And he probably drives one into left and deep. Crawford on his horse. This one's going to bounce against the wall, and Polanco standing at second base with a long double. So he saw that one well enough, that's for sure. So Polanco trying to bring the fish back. Gets a fastball out over the plate and promptly doubles off the left center field wall. Justin Ruggiano coming up. Ruggiano had been signed by the Dodgers, and he was traded from the Dodgers to the Rays. He's from Austin, Texas. He went to Texas A&M. He hits one foul down the line. 0-1 the count. Ruggiano went to Texas A&M. Last year when he finally got to the Marlins, he had 5 home runs, 15 RBIs, and he hit over 400 in his first 30 games. That's a strike. 0-2. 6'2", 205-pounder out of Austin, Texas. Justin Ruggiano. On deck, Marcell Ozuna. Very high. 1-2. Almost 6 years ago, September 2007, the Rays had an injured outfielder by the name of Carl Crawford. So they tracked down Ruggiano, and he became a Ray. Now he's playing against Crawford here at Dodger Stadium. 2-2 the count. Dodgers lead 3-0. We're in the top of the fourth inning. Marcell Ozuna on deck. The 2-2 pitch swung on, ground ball to third. Uribe charges, guns it over there. Meanwhile, going over to third and beating the throw is Polanco. So sore back or no, every inch a ball player. And on that throw to third, Polanco just took off and moved over. So 1 out, and Marcell Ozuna coming up. The good strong throw from either end, even though Gordon was there to make the tag, it was late. So Polanco, a heads up base running play, which is one reason why he's been playing in the big league so long. Ozuna now trying to pick him up, grounded to short, 0 for 1. And ball 1. Ozuna signed 4 years ago with the Marlins. He's had some power in the minor leagues. 23 home runs at Greensboro, 24 at Jupiter. 2-0 the count. Marcell Ozuna, since being called up from the minors, has 1 home run, 5 runs batted in. He's big enough to hit him. He's 6'2", 190. Way out in front, a very long swing. 2-1. And that's hit down the right field line. Ethier in pursuit. Is he okay? From where we are, the right fielder disappears in the corner, and from that camera angle, he also disappears. So Ozuna will come back and try it again. Here's what Andre tried to do. No chance. Not much down there. Once you cross the foul line, you're almost on the pads. There it is. It's a wedge of foul ground. 2-2. Foul ball over the head of Polanco. So Ozuna's still there. Joe Espada had something to say to Polanco. Three-0 Dodgers, top of the 4th. Polanco at third. Ryu would like another ball. Pitcher's fingertips become so sensitive they can tell whether a ball has some of the stitches rising or not. 2-2. Fouled away. 1 out in the inning. Polanco doubled, advanced to third on a ground ball to third. Ozuna trying to pick him up with Miguel Oliva on deck. Ozuna giving it a battle here. 2-2. Dodgers and Marlins tomorrow afternoon. Tom Kohler and Chris Capuano. And then starting Monday night, the Washington Nationals. That ought to be a great series. Washington a game back of Atlanta as of now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ozuna tired of waiting. Dodgers put together 4 hits and a couple of walks for 2 runs in the 3rd inning. They scored 1 in the 2nd, and down goes Ozuna. So for Ryu, who struck out 2 in the 3rd inning, he now picks up his 3rd strikeout, and the batter is Miguel Oliva. So the veteran catcher hitting 170. Miguel has never been known as a really good hitter. That's a strike. You look back over the years, 192, 222, 224, 240s. You make a mistake, however, he's big enough to hit it out. 0-1. Foul back. Dodgers 3 runs, 8 hits, 1 error. Miami no runs, 2 hits, and no errors. Polanco at third with 2 out. No balls and 2 strikes. Ground ball up the middle. Gordon is up with it nicely, and that's it. They leave Polanco at third. So no runs, 1 hit, a man left. At the end of 3.5 innings, Dodgers 3, Miami nothing. A lot of folks have brought some beautiful animals to the ballpark. Another wonderful experience. All sizes, shapes, all breeds, some questionable, but all behaving themselves very nicely. Bottom of the 4th inning, 3-0 in favor of the Dodgers. Top of the order, Carl Crawford, then D. Gordon, and Adrian Gonzalez. Ryu made 19 pitches in that last inning, so his pitch count all the way up to 66. Foul ball, so Crawford, who flied to left, rounded to short, up there on a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Time. And that's popped in the air. Foul, out of play. Carl Crawford hitting .308, 5 home runs, 8 runs batted in. 2-2. Kevin Slowey, when he was an amateur, pitched in a couple of pressure-packed starts, one in Cuba, the America's Olympic qualifier. Check swing, no strike. The other for Slowey was a AAA Rochester International League playoffs. But the one in Cuba was a problem because Slowey studied Spanish in college. And he said, pitching in Havana, he understood what the people were hollering. It wasn't so nice. Pop fly, second baseman. That'll be that as Green makes the catch. Crawford goes down, and we have one away. D. Gordon coming up. He took a couple of really hard practice swings in the on-deck circle, and then when he came up, he got a pitch below the knees and cleared the right field wall. So Kevin Slowey giving up a home run to D. Gordon. That's the 4th home run that he's allowed for Gordon, the 2nd in his career. He had one last year. Showing bunt and a strike. 0-1. 3 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. No runs, 2 hits, no errors for Miami. He bunts sharply and foul. 0-2. Down the line, out of play. Final game of the series tomorrow. Tom Kohler, Chris Capuano, and then the Nationals here starting Monday night. Comebacker. 2 down. So that'll bring up Adrian Gonzalez. Might have a Major League update for you. The Cardinals, behind Adam Wainwright's brilliant 2-hitter, shut down Colorado 3-0. The Giants pounded Atlanta 10-1. Madison Bumgarner went 7, struck out 11. Philadelphia is shading Arizona. Chris Lee showing the way. Has worked 6 2/3 innings, so he's well into the 7th. Gonzalez a strike, 0-1. Adrian 2 for 2, singles to right field. 4 home runs, 26 runs batted in. Oh and 2 the count. Adrian Gonzalez last year had 15 home runs for the Red Sox, and he hit 3 for the Dodgers. Before that, in 2011, he had 27. Before that, 31. Before that, 40. He had 40 home runs in 09 with the Padres. Still 1-2. Adrian, 31 years old, born in San Diego. 6'2", 225. Originally signed by the Marlins. Ground foul. Cracked the bat. Got to get another. He never did play with the Marlins, but he was their first round pick out of Eastlake High School. Adrian, born in San Diego, spent about 12 years in Tijuana. Attended high school at Eastlake and Chula Vista. You ask Gonzalez his secret, he'll tell you hard work, because he said, when I was young, I was not the most talented player on my teams at all. People don't believe that, but it's true. I tell the kids all the time, I worked hard. He hits a little ground ball in the feed to Slowey, and that'll be that. So the Dodgers, after kicking up their heels in the 3rd inning, go very quietly in the 4th and lead 3-0. forward to tomorrow on the special Mother's Day game here at Dodger Stadium. Are you looking for the tote bag and walk around the park giving away? Viva Los Dodgers with performances by Marion Moreno and DJ Mexican Dubweiser. How about the pink bats and other gear worn by the players in support of breast cancer initiative? Well, tweet #mom and then your vote. Tote bag, Viva Los Dodgers, or pink bats. Stay with us. Stay awake, young man. 3-0 in favor of the Dodgers. Dobbs, Green, Slowey. Ball 1 to Greg Dobbs. Dobbs, who left Long Beach State to go to Oklahoma. What a year, his senior year in Oklahoma. He hit .428, 10 home runs, 62 runs batted in. So he signed with the Mariners. He stayed in there a long time. He almost got nailed. 3-0 to Greg. 25 years old. And ball forward. So a leadoff walk will bring up Nick Green. Ryu has struck out 3 while walking 2. And he's allowed 2 hits and no runs. Off speed to Green. One ball, no strikes. That's fouled away. Nick Green, 35 years old, signed by the Braves, came up to the Braves, and then has spent time with a lot of teams. Said he's been playing baseball since he's 5, but basketball is his favorite sport. Little ground ball. Gonzalez makes the pick to get 1. No return throw. So Dobbs is cut down 3-6 from Gonzalez to D. Gordon. And the batter will be Kevin Slowey.
Number 45.
Slowey struck out in the 3rd inning. Marlins came closest to scoring in the 4th inning. Polanco led off with a double and alertly took 3rd as Ruggiano grounded to 3rd. But he stayed there. Osuna struck out. Oliva grounded out. The bunt fouled away and the count 0-1. So Mike Redmond trying to play for a run at a time. 0-1 the count. Dodgers 3, Miami nothing. 5th inning. 0-2. Joe Espada comes all the way down almost to home plate to flash a sign out to Green and to at the same time make sure that Slowey is looking at him. Of course, anybody 1420 on his SAT, I assume he was watching his coach, and he gets the bunt down. So Ryu goes to first and the sacrifice works. So for the 2nd time tonight, the Marlins get a man at second base. Echevarria grounded to 3rd, single to center, 1 for 2. Out of Santiago de Cuba, but he lives in Plantation, Florida. That's a strike. originally signed by the Blue Jays 3 years ago. He was a big star on Cuba's national team. 0-1. 1-1. One ball and one strike. 2-1. In May this year against Philadelphia, he had 7 RBIs. Other fellas with the Marlins who had 7 RBIs in a game: Cody Ross, Gary Sheffield, and Greg Colburn. Ball 3. Echeverria, and it was last year in November. There was a 12-player blockbuster. When it all finished, Toronto received $4 million, part of a deal to help compensate for the almost $165 million in salary heading to the Blue Jays. 3-2 the count. The Blue Jays starting today were 9.5 games back of the Yankees. All right, 3-2 the count. Green at second with 2 out. Foul back. Hyun-Jin Ryu has now made 83 pitches. Looking at his previous pitch count, the 2 games in which he lost to the Giants. In the first game with the Giants, he made 80 pitches and lost. His last game against the Giants, 85 pitches and lost. Most pitches, 109, when he beat the Mets. 3-2. Fastball fouled away. Ryu hits 91 on the gun. Echeverria hacks it away. Rick Honeycutt sure knew what to do with the baseball in his day. Echeverria waiting up there at home plate. He's had a disabled right elbow contusion, though he just came back and he's really been struggling. He was hitting 143 since coming back, coming into this game, and he's 1 for 2. Just did get a little bit of that. Atheny. The first name is spelled A-D like Dodger, E-I-N-Y. But the D-E-I, they tell us, is like T-H. Atheny. 3-2 to the young infielder. 2 down. Dodgers lead 3-0. We're in the 5th. At second base, Nick Green. And at his feet for ball 4. So Ryu balancing his books now. He has struck out 3 and he has walked 3. And the batter now is Matt Diaz, who grounded his second and popped up the third. Diaz, remember, after a long run, glove dropped a pop fly. And the Marlins wound up getting a force play at third. Two on, 2 out. There's a hopper, flag by Schumacher. What a play. Skip Schumacher takes a sure base hit away from Matt Diaz and a run from the Marlins. And at the end of 4.5, it remains 3-0 Dodgers. Dodgers holding on to a 3-0 lead. They'll go to the bottom of the 5th inning, and they'll have Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, and A.J. Ellis. Don't forget, Matt Kemp bobblehead night, Tuesday, May 14th, with that home run swing. And the Dodgers would like to see that bobblehead, and they'd like to see that swing. And the free Matt Kemp bobblehead to the first 50,000 fans in attendance. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. And a strike to Matt. Matt Kemp hit into a force play and single to right. One ball and one strike. And lifting off first base, slicing more towards the stands, and out of play. Matt Kemp lifting his batting average to .275. He's hit safely in 10 straight. He needs 2 more hits to reach 1,000 in his career. High drive into dead center. Back goes Ruggiano to the track to make the catch. So Kemp, who has 1 home run, that was down the right field line in City Park in New York, hits it to dead center, and we have 1 out. And the batter will be Andre Ethier. Ethier 2 for 2, double to left center and single to right. Scored a run and was forced at third on the fly ball that was dropped by Matt Diaz. Ball 1. Marlins have always been punished by Ethier. Foul ball. Among active players with at least 100 at-bats against the Marlins, Andre Ethier ranks first. He came in today with a .387 batting average, and he's 2 for 2 today, so he continues to be the big fisherman. That's a strike. One and 2 to Andre. Three runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 2 hits for the Marlins. Polanco, Ruggiano, and Ozuna will be due up in the 6th inning for Miami. Little pop fly going out to get it is Green, coming in and unable to make the play is Ruggiano. So for Andre Ethier, another base hit against Miami. He is 3 for 3. Not only 3 for 3, but if you look back at what he's done, he's now had 61 hits in 153 at-bats. Great all-around effort by Justin Ruggiano, but to no avail. So a one-out single by Ethier brings up A.J. Ellis, who has sacrificed and walked. And then Schumacher hitting back of him. 3 runs, 9 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 2 hits for Miami. That was a big play by Schumacher on the ball hit by Diaz. Green probably would have scored, and who knows about the rest of the inning. That's a strike. 0-1. Bottom of the 5th, 3-0 Dodgers. Don't forget, Chris Capuano tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Mother's Day. Tom Kohler on the mound for Miami. 1 ball and 1 strike. And missed again. Ball 2, 2-1. Ethier goes. Hit and run. Foul ball. So the Dodgers put it on. A.J. makes contact but hits it foul. So Ethier gets back to first. And the count 2-2. Ethier back to first, checking with Wallach, as does A.J. Ellis. 1 out. Two and 2. Fastball, pop foul, out of play. Still 2-2. Three runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers, including a home run by Gordon and a double by Ethier. No runs, 2 hits for the Marlins. And ball 3. Marlins have a double by Polanco and a single by Echeverria. 3-2. Waiting on deck, Skip Schumacher. There goes Ethier, 3-2 line drive, base hit. Ruggiano gets it to third, and it hits the sliding Ethier, but he's okay. It might have hit him on the helmet. So Ethier gets hit by the throw from Ruggiano. We can take him a look and see maybe where he got hit. Either on the neck or the back of the helmet. Either way, that really gets your attention. Bingo. So the Dodgers, first and third, 1 out. Tim Wallach counseling Ethier, who's very thankful that he wore the helmet. There is Schumacher, single to right, reached on a fielder's choice, and fouled away. Schumacher has had a big glove for the Dodgers at second base. Case in point right there. Great stop. Takes away a run and a base hit. The batter was Diaz, and easily to have scored was Nick Green. Fouled away. 0-1 the count to Skip. Dodgers using him second base, left field. He played a little center. He's even played one game in right. And remember, he pitched one inning. Otherwise, hasn't done anything. Another foul ball. 0-2 the count to Schumacher. Still only one out. Fifth inning. Dodgers 3 runs, 10 hits. Miami no runs, 2 hits. Another foul ball. All 3 off to the left. And driven to center. Nobody there. Ruggiano has to come over and get it. Ethier scores easily. Stopping at third is Ellis. The Dodgers lead 4-0. And an RBI for Skip Schumacher. His second hit of the night. Two hits, 2 runs batted in for Skip. Fastball up and out over the plate. 4 runs, 11 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 2 hits for the Marlins. The batter will be Juan Uribe. Still only 1 out. That was Kemp leading off with a fly ball to center. Ethier checking the grain in the bat. Uribe single to left and walked. 1 for 1, hitting .250. And ball 1. 4 runs, 11 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 2 hits for Miami. Ellis at third, Schumacher at first. And that's going to go foul behind the plate. One of the things for Slowey, and we always keep track of it, and it's a sure sign of a pitcher having trouble. The Dodgers have swung and missed at only 2 pitches. There have been 28 foul balls. 1-1. Slowey's pitch count with those 28 foul balls. It's up to 92. 1-1. Ball 2, 2-1. Slowey sending that fastball up and in, has walked 2 tonight. Two and one. In the inning, Kemp fly deep to center. Ethier singled to center. Ellis singled into third. Schumacher singled him home, and Ellis went to third. Fastball hit in the air to left field. Diaz for the catch. Tagging up is Ellis, and he will score, and the Dodgers lead 5-0. So Uribe has a walk, a single, And a scoring fly ball. Hyun-Jin Ryu coming up, leading 5-0. Big John Roush begins to warm up in the Miami bullpen. Ryu has sacrificed and grounded out, hitting .267. Foul back. So again, once it's drawn to your attention, it's a tip-off on a pitcher in trouble. You just don't see the hitter swinging and missing. 0-1 to Ryu. Off speed. There goes the runner. The pitch is high, and what a jump he had. Schumacher just stole the wallet of Slowey. There was no chance to even throw down there. No chance Olivo had to even make the throw. So Skip Schumacher just takes off, to everybody's surprise. Schumacher, by the way, his first stolen base. 3-1 the count to Ryu. Waiting on deck, Carl Crawford. Another foul ball. For Slowey, with all the swings, with all the foul balls, he does not have a strikeout, and he's made 100 pitches. So he just doesn't have quite enough to put the hitter away. And it's really hurting. So the pitcher Ryu is fouling him off. And he walked him. So that will bring up Carl Crawford, and it will also bring up Mike Redmond. So that's going to do it for Kevin Slowey. I think climbing Mount Kilimanjaro might have been a little bit easier than getting through the third and fifth inning here at Dodger Stadium, and we'll be right back. Evening, he gives up at least 5 runs and 11 hits. Walk 3, and the tip-off, as we said, all those foul balls. He was unable to get the ball by the hitter, and he winds up making 101 pitches without a strikeout. So he gives the ball to John Roush, and John Roush gets your attention immediately because John is 6'11", 290 pounds. I'm always conscious of the fact when you do a ball game, there are adults watching, but also kids. And it would be normal for a child to say 6'11". What's the tallest man in the world? And in case you don't know, there was a man named Robert Pershing Wadlow. He was born in Alton, Illinois in February of 1918. When he was last measured in June of 1940, he was 8 feet 11.1 inches tall. 8 feet 0.1 inch tall, just a hair under 9 feet. That's right. Poor Mr. Wadlow died in a hotel in Michigan. He had a blister on his right ankle, which had been caused by a brace. He was buried in a coffin not quite 11 feet long. They said Mr. Wadlow, when he was 9, was able to carry his father, later the mayor of Alton. And that's going to be into center field. Base hit for Crawford. Ruggiano making a strong throw to the plate, and Schumacher is hung out to dry. So a nice play by Ruggiano. However, the Dodgers walk off the field leading 5-0. Andy Koufax pitched a no-hitter against the San Francisco Giants. Over 49,000 took it in. He beat them 8-0. Sandy, for that year, won 25 games. He has struck out 306, and his earned run average was 1.8. Needless to say, he was the Cy Young Award winner. He was the most valuable player, and of course, the leader of the Dodgers that in 1963 swept the Yankees in 4 straight in the World Series. Dandy Sandy. Let's go back to this one. The Dodgers leading 5-0 as we go to the 6th inning. Roush had to come in to get the last out, and that was recorded at the plate. So now it'll be Polanco, Ruggiano, and Ozuna against Ryu. A strike to Placido, who has flied to right, doubled, and took third on a ground ball. 0-1. Ryu's change very high, 1-1. So the total numbers for Kevin Slowey, he made 102 pitches. But the big difference, the era we talked about, swings and misses. There were only 3 swings and misses by the Dodger hitters. There were 31 foul balls, and because of that, Slowey never did have a strikeout. There was so much contact. He gave up 12 hits and 5 runs. Must be terrible to be a big league pitcher, and you just can't put a hitter away. 2-2. Placido, a heads-up play in the 4th, doubled, and on a hard ground ball to third. As soon as Uribe let go of the ball to first, Polanco is on his way to third. That's on the chalk and goes foul. So Polanco will have to come back and try it again. So in looking at this game tonight, the Dodgers lead 5-0. They've had a runner nailed rounding second base. They've had a runner nailed at third, and they've had a runner thrown out at the plate. Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, and Skip Schumacher all nailed on the bases. 2-2 to Polanco. Fouled away. To repeat, final game of the series tomorrow. Tom Kohler and Chris Capuano. Hope you'll spend Mother's Day with us, or at least a portion thereof. And then Monday night, look out, the Washington Nationals. Steven Strasburg. Fastball fouled away. Bryce Harper. Good ball club. 2-2 to Placido Polanco. And another foul ball. And of course, now you look at Ryu and you say, well, are they fouling off a lot of pitches? They are, but he has struck out 3, and he's got a nice 5-0 lead. Waiting for right fielder Ethier and first baseman Gonzalez to get back to their positions. 2-2. 3-2 to Placido Polanco. Waiting on deck, Justin Ruggiano made that strong throw to nail Schumacher at the plate. Fastball. Take a look at Polanco, and when you look at his numbers, he has struck out, are you ready, 6 times. 6. So you can see him fouling off pitches all night. And he then bangs it into left field. So Polanco 2 for 3 with a base hit to left, and the batter will be Ruggiano.
Center fielder, number 20, Justin Ruggiano.
There's an idea of what Ryu has been doing. He has just 3 strikeouts, but look at that, 10 ground balls and 2 fly balls. 1 fly ball in the first inning, and then a pop fly in the infield. Ruggiano, 2 ground balls. He's 0 for 2. He's all over the place in the outfield. Made a good running catch of the ball hit by Matt Kemp. Also made a great play to throw out Schumacher. He almost nailed Andre Ethier going to third. So Ryu having his pitches now up to 100. So Matt Guerrier begins to loosen up in the Dodger bullpen. Little roller to Gordon. The shovel for 1. The turn not nearly in time. Ball was not hit very hard. So the force plays 6-4. 1 away. Marcell Ozuna. Grounded to short. Struck out 0 for 2. The Marlins have had one man get to third. That was Polanco in the 4th inning. Fastball strike. No balls, 1 strike. Rio has only struck out 3. And if we continue the idea of a price you pay for foul balls instead of swings and misses, there's only been 6 swings and misses by Miami. 26 foul balls. There's 1, there's 2, see you later. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left. 5.5 innings in the books, and the Dodgers lead Miami 5-0. Everybody's getting rich tonight with at least 1 hit. Andre Ethier has 3. Gonzalez and Schumacher have 2. And for Ryu, he's done enough with a sacrifice and a walk. So the Dodgers hitting on all cylinders, 12 hits, good for 5 runs and a 5-0 lead. The Dodgers here in the 6th inning. It'll be Gordon, Gonzalez, and Kemp against big John Roush. All 6'11" of him, 290 pounds. A thoroughbred out of Louisville, Kentucky. He'll be 35 in September. 0-1. Roush was signed by the White Sox in 1999. Came up with them for a while. Then he had 4 years with the Nationals, a couple with the Diamondbacks, a couple with the Twins and the Blue Jays, then the Mets, and now the Marlins. Oh, and 2. Ground foul. Looked like a cricketer swing on that one. That was right out of the cricket book. No balls, 2 strikes. Poke foul the other way. John Roush had his mom and dad. He had to promise them if he got good grades, he could play baseball. And he sparkled in things like math and physics. And so he got to play baseball. Ground ball hard. Dobbs at the other end of it. Boy, a bang, bang play. Gordon can make them all close, can he? So Roush able to beat him by a stride, one away. And the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez. Look at this foot race. That foot just ahead of Gordon. One away. Bang, bang. Adrian Gonzalez going back. His first big league home run was the third of back-to-back-to-back home runs for Texas, following Lance Nix and Rod Barajas against Seattle. That was back in 2004. Only 7 other big leaguers have ever hit their first major league home run in such a way, back-to-back-to-back. Gonzalez tonight, single to right in the first, single to right in the third, grounded out in the fourth. 5-0 Dodgers in the 6th. Little roller. Dobbs will take this one to the bag. 2 down in the 6th inning, and that will bring up Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp hit the ball hard in the first inning. Hard ground ball at third. And Polanco turned it into a fourth play. Then Matt singled to right field in the 3rd inning. And in the 5th inning, he sent Ruggiano on the track in dead center, maybe 395 feet away for the out. So he had some pretty good swings against Slowey, hitting .273. He has hit safely now in 10 straight. Oh and 1. No balls and 1 strike. Boy, that must be something. You're at home plate. The pitcher is 6'11", standing on a 10-inch mound and throwing downhill. 0-2. 1-2. One and 2 the count to Matt Kemp. Dodgers lead 5-0. Foul ball. Roush out there on the mound has a number of tattoos. Olympic rings on his left ankle. He was the member of the gold medal team in Sydney. He has Roman numerals starting on his neck, going down his spine to commemorate his wedding day. Chinese symbols are a homage to himself. They mean tall fire, the very back of his neck. Then when they had a little girl, he had her footprints and her name and birthday on his right calf. Ground ball to third. So that is a large canvas walking off the mound. And at the end of 6, it's 5-0 Dodgers. Special Mother's Day game at Dodger Stadium, tote bag, or Viva Los Dodgers, or the Pink Bats. And look at there. Pink Bats wins easily, 55%. Dedicated to moms everywhere. "5-0 Dodgers, 7th inning. Miguel Oliva, walk, grounded to short, big catcher, 0 for 1. Two and 0. Foul back. 5 runs, 12 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. No runs, 3 hits for Miami. 1 home run in the game by D. Gordon. In the 3rd inning over the right field wall. Fastball hit in the air to deep left. Back goes Crawford, watching this one go into the pavilion. So on his 107th pitch, they make it 108. Home run by Oliva, and it is 5-1 Dodgers. The fans throw the ball back. So again, remember we pointed out the fact there have been a lot of foul balls with Ryu, and he finally surrenders the home run. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Paco Rodriguez begins to loosen up. Greg Dobbs, the first baseman, grounded to short and walked. And Rick Honeycutt on the phone to the pen. Dobbs 0 for 1. Ground ball to Gordon. So Dobbs didn't hang around. 1 out. And the batter will be Nick Green. So big Miguel Olivo reaches the stands in left field. For Olivo, that would be his 3rd home run of the year, and 5 runs batted in. Green has struck out, hit into a force play. He hits one to the gap, but Crawford racing over, dives and makes the catch. Carl Crawford takes an extra base hit away from Nick Green with that diving catch. Take another look at it. There's Kemp. Here comes Crawford. Chris Coughlin, who appeared as a pinch hitter last night and doubled, coming up. So fine play by Carl. Now Coughlin checks in. And a strike. Back in 2009, Coughlin became the 3rd Marlin to win the National League Rookie of the Year honor, joining Dontrell Willis and Hanley Ramirez. Hanley is here watching. Itching to play, sitting next to Jerry. And that's a line drive base hit. So they are allowing Ryu. He's now made 114 pitches, but he has a comfortable 5-1 lead. And Coughlin, line drive single to right. And here comes Don Mattingly, so that will be that. He's had Paco warming up. And for Ryu, he goes 6 2/3 innings. gives up a run and 5 hits. The runner at first is his responsibility, and he gets an ovation as he jogs off. And we'll be back. Five hits. He does leave a man at first, his responsibility. He made a whopping 114 pitches, and he's allowed 1 earned run, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Had something funny to say to his interpreter. Paco Rodriguez coming out of the Dodger bullpen to face Hechavarria. Hechavarria 1 for 2 with a single and a walk. Right. 0-1. Steven Paco Rodriguez. Born in Miami, lives in Miami, went to the University of Florida, and trying to beat or help beat the old club. And another strike, 0-2. Hechavarria grounded to third, singled and walked. Theny Hechavarria. And that's lifted foul, out of play, no chance. Dodgers did a lot of damage in the second, third, and fifth inning. That's when they did their scoring. Dee Gordon ignited everything with a home run in the third inning. And then Andre Ethier had 2 singles and a double. And on they went. 0-2. Fouled away. 2 out here in the 7th. Oliva homered, but then Dobbs grounded out. Green robbed of a hit on a diving catch by Crawford, and Coghlan followed with a pinch hit single, so that was enough for Ryu. Time for the moment. Looks like a ball being picked up by Matt Kemp in center field. No balls and 2 strikes. that's going to be hit to right, but Ethe is there. So Hecheverria lines out to right. The Marlins get 1 run, 2 hits, leave 1. And at the end of 6.5, another look at Crawford's play. From every angle, the Dodgers lead 5-1. Everybody with a leadoff home run in the 3rd inning, the 2nd of his career. Skip Schumacher is 2 for 3, a base hit to right to drive in a run, a base into center to drive in a run, in fact scoring 2 and 3 RBIs for the night. And Hyun-Jin Ryu 6 2/3, allowing just 1 earned run. For Miami, it's been Slowey, Roush, and now Ramos. A.J. Ramos from Lubbock, Texas, went to Texas Tech. Signed by the Marlins in 2009. 4 years ago, as a junior at Texas Tech, he had Tommy John surgery. Ramos 5'10", 210. Andre Ethier has doubled and singled twice. They're having a big night, 3 for 3. 5 runs, 12 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 5 hits for the Marlins. And that's whacked down the right field line for Ethier's 4th hit of the night. And he'll go into second base with a standing double, his 2nd double of the night, and he is 4 for 4. So the Dodgers trying to come out of it in a big way. They have 13 hits and 5 runs, and oh, does he love that ball down around the knees. So Ethier stings it for the double, and the batter will A.J. Ellis sacrificed, walked, and singled. That's a strike. 0-1. Ellis hitting .297. Ramos made his major league debut just last September. September the 4th, to be exact. That's a strike. He made his debut and struck out the side, and he didn't just strike out the side in the 9th inning. He got the heart of Milwaukee's batting order. Ricky Weeks, Ryan Braun, and Aramis Ramirez. 0-2. Almost got him. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Interesting, after Ramos struck out Ricky Weeks looking, Rob Brantley, another rookie, fired the ball to third base. That was the same baseball used to strike out Braun. And he wanted that ball for his trophy case. And he got it. Brantley threw the ball into the dugout for safekeeping, but after Ramos then struck out Ramirez, Brantley was so pumped up, he fired that ball into the stands. Everybody was screaming, "No, no, give him the ball." But Brantley had thrown it into the stands. Check swing, and down goes AJ. So 1 away.
Second baseman, Skip Schumacher.
Skip Schumacher singled to right to drive in a run. Hit a fly ball to left field that was caught, then dropped. Matt Diaz got a force at third, but the run scored, and Schumacher got an RBI. And then his last time up, he singled in a run. And ball 1. Skip made the big play defensively in the 5th inning. 2 on and 2 out. Diaz hit what looked like a sure base hit to right field, and Schumacher came up with it. 1 ball and no strikes. 2-0. Basically, with Ramos, Schumacher knows a fastball, a cutter, slider, changeup. And if you're a left-hand hitter like Schumacher, you know you're looking cutter. 2-0. Three and 0 the count. Ramos' first name is Alejandro, but from that they get AJ. In there. 3-1. When the Marlins come up in the 8th inning, they'll have Diaz, Polanco, and Ruggiano. That would be basically the heart of their lineup. 3-1. Out away. Schumacher hits a lot of foul balls to the left. Three and 2. An earlier at bat, he fouled 3 in a row off to the left. And ball 4. So the Dodgers now runners first and second, 1 out, and Juan Uribe coming up.
Third baseman number 5, Juan Uribe.
So Ramos has given up a hit, a walk, and a strikeout. Uribe single to left, walked, and had a sacrifice fly in the 5th inning. Hitting .250, Nick Punto comes out on deck. He would bat for Paco Rodriguez. And ball 1. There's Nick. One and 0. Fastball line drive off the glove of Hechavarria. So rounding third is Ethier coming to the plate to score. Over to third goes Schumacher. And for Miami, so near and yet so far. Line drive off the glove of Hechavarria. So Uribe comes up with his second hit. And a run batted in to give him 2 ribbies. That would have been an easy double play to end the inning. Nothing easy about that, however. Wallop with Shepard, telling Andre, run for all you're worth, and Ethier scores. So Andre Ethier has sure been busy. Might have hurt himself a little bit running. He's acting like somebody might have hurt. Keep an eye on him. Yeah, he's limping a little bit for sure. Six to 1 in favor of the Dodgers. Ramos gives up the run. First and third. Here is Punto. 1 ball and 1 strike. We'll watch Ethier running. Looks all right there, but then when he got over in the dugout, he was limping, obviously, and he is limping right now, just a wee bit. 1-2 to Nick Punto. One of the extreme men, as Walter Alston used to call him. Not extra, extreme. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And that gets away. And not only will the run score, easily going down to second, is Uribe. And the Dodgers lead 7-1. So with Punto at the plate, Schumacher brings in the run. He tried to put the lid on it. That's a bad way for a catcher, any catcher, and it's a pass ball. That is not the way to do it. So the pass ball gives the Dodgers more of a comfort zone, leading 7-1. 2-2 the count to Nick Punto. Dodgers scored 1 in the second and 2 in the third, 2 in the fifth, and 2 in the seventh. Ball 3. Carl Crawford waiting on deck. Uribe at second base, still just 1 out. Strike 3. So Punto caught looking at a fastball. Down he goes. 2 out in the inning. And the batter will be Crawford. Carl Crawford tonight 1 for 4 plus a diving catch in left center, hitting .311. And a strike. Paid attendance tonight on this bark in the park. 42,208. 42,208. Tomorrow, the concluding game at 1 o'clock. Tom Kohler versus Chris Capuano. And then Monday night, the Washington Nationals, and that should really be quite a series. 3 games with the Nats. Jordan Zimmerman will go against Josh Beckett. Dan Herron will go against Clayton Kershaw. And then Ross Duttweiler against Matt McGill. 0-2. Fastball hit the center. Ruggiano was deep. He goes back and backhands it. Nice play by Justin. So a long out to center, and that ends the inning. But the Dodgers add 2 more at the end of 7, leads 7-1. Couple of changes for the Dodgers. Juan Uribe moves across the diamond to finish up at first base and give Gonzalez a little time off. Luis Cruz will take over Uribe's spot at third. In the outfield, Skip Schumacher takes over in left field. Matt Guerrier on the mound. Nick Punto is at second base. And the big question to be answered was Andre Ethier going to play, and he went out to his position. So whatever was bothering him, it was a momentary thing. He limped around, obviously, in the dugout, but now he's out there. So Matt Guerrier in his 15th game trying to protect a 7-1 lead in the 8th inning, facing Diaz, Polanco, and then Ruggiano. Diaz grounded out, popped up, and then robbed of a hit by Schumacher when he was playing second base. Strike. Diaz 0 for 3, struggling, hitting less than 100. 1 ball and 1 strike. And that's sliced into right center. Here comes Ethier. Makes a circus play. There's nothing wrong with somebody who can make a play like that. So Andre Ethier does like Carl Crawford. Makes a diving catch. And we have 1 out in the 8th inning. So 1 away, a good save by Andre and the batter Placido Polanco. Polanco flied to right, doubled and singled, 2 for 3. One ball and no strikes. 7 runs, 14 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 5 hits for Miami. 1-1. Placido hitting .252. One and two. Polanco will be 38 in October. Two and two. Ball 3. Waiting on deck, the center fielder Justin Ruggiano. And popped up on the infield. It's D. Gordon. So 2 out here in the 8th inning. And here's Ruggiano. Grounded to short, grounded to third, and hit into a force play. Strike. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 8th, they'll have Gordon, then Gonzalez, Spot, and then Kemp. Cruz, playing third base, would be in Gonzalez' spot. So we'll see Lewis. 1-1. 1-2. Been a big night for a lot of the Dodgers, but especially Andre Ethier. Waved at and missed, and that's the 8th inning. Went easily thanks to Ethier's diving catch. We'll tell you more about his night with the bat in a moment. Dodgers lead 7-1. Android and BlackBerry 10. At bat delivers Dodger baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at bat to 31826 or visit Dodgers.com for details. Bottom of the 8th inning, 7-1 Dodgers. Ryan Webb begins to loosen up. In case we don't see Ethier having that bat, we should tell you a couple of things. Andre Ethier has 4 hits tonight. The last 2 4-hit games he had were also against Miami last year, and would you believe it, on back-to-back days, on the 24th of August and the 25th of August. How about that, having 8 hits in the 2 games? His career high would be 5 hits. He's done that twice, and the last time he had a 5-hit game, September the 5th, 2008, against Arizona. So here's Ryan Webb, big man at 6'6", 230, ready to work on D. Gordon. Gordon popped up, homered, grounded out twice. His homer into the right field stands in the pavilion. Not down the line. D, 1 home run last year, 1 this year. Ryan Webb on the mound is a chip off the old block. His dad pitched in the major leagues for several teams, the Mets and the Dodgers. 1-1 the count. Ryan, born in Clearwater, lives in Palm Harbor, Florida. Went to Clearwater Catholic High. Drafted by the A's in 2004. 2-1. For Webb, he has a fastball, a good sinking fastball, curve, cutter, changeup. Two and one. Fouled away. The A's signed him. The Padres got Webb. They sent Scott Hairston to the A's. Then in November, the Marlins sent Cameron Maybin to the Padres, and Webb came here. 2-2. Ball 3. Outfield shallow in left center. Big gap in right center. D with a home run, 4 runs batted in. So Gordon draws the walk, opening up matters in the 8th inning. And the batter will be Cruz, followed by Kemp. And maybe we will see Andre.
Number 47, Luis Cruz.
Luis Cruz, it has been a struggle. He's hitting .090, 2 RBIs. He had a marvelous second half last year, and then the league adjusted, and that's the key to anyone's survival in this business. They adjust, and you have to adjust with them. He has had trouble adjusting. Ball 1. Cruz, a big surprise for the Dodgers last year, wound up hitting .297. I don't think anybody in the organization expected him to do that again, but they certainly were hoping he'd hit around .260. Ground ball to short. Hechavarria the feed. They turn it. Double play. Six, 4-3, 2 down in the 8th, and the batter is Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp grounded into a force play in the first inning. Single sharply to right in the 3rd. Fly deep to center about 390 feet for the out, and then last time up grounded to 3rd. So Matt hitting .271. His base hit in the 3rd inning has extended his streak to 10 straight. Fastball for a strike. 0-1. Webb is in his 14th game. There was a report in the Sun Sentinel, the Florida paper, that he'll get a bonus if he makes 67 appearances. Got a long way to go. 0-2. Slider, they check. No swing. They refer to that kind of as a slurvy curve. It had that sharp break of a slider to it. 1-2 the count. So down goes Matt. Down go the Dodgers. And we are heading for the 9th inning. 7-1 Dodgers. your Southern California Toyota dealers. By Time Warner. Enjoy all the things you love better. 1-855-WANT-TWC. And by El Pollo Loco. Crazy you can taste. The Dodgers lead 7-1 as we go to the ninth inning, and they'll bring in their fourth pitcher of the night. That would be Javi Guerra. So it's been Ryu, Paco Rodriguez, then Matt Guerrier, and now Javi in his fourth game since being called back. Guerrier, while he was in there, made 13 pitches. Paco Rodriguez just 5. Ryu made 114. So the Dodgers trying to make an 8-game losing streak a thing of the past. We mentioned at the start, before the game even began, Dodgers had 8-game losing streaks in 2004, 2006, 2008, and each time reached the postseason. And there was also the note 29 teams had 8-game losing streaks, went into the postseason. 3 of them became world champions. Though, a thought. 0-1 to Marcell Ozuna. Grounded to short, struck out, hit into a double play. Just recently called up, hitting .317. Oh, 2. Guerra comes in, throws 91 on the gun. Concluding game of the series, Mother's Day, tomorrow afternoon, and that'll be Tom Kohler against Chris Capuano. Hope you'll be out here with us. 1-2. And then remember Monday night, the Washington Nationals. Comebacker. 1 away. So Ozuna hits back, and that'll bring Olivo, who walked, grounded out, and homered.
Attention, please. Attention for the Marlins, number 53.
Kyle Skipworth, a left-hand batter, is going to come up and hit for Olivo. Skipworth. I'm sure his fans miss them, and I know we do. We were looking forward to seeing Giancarlo Stanton, but the big power hitter is down with a hamstring pull. Kyle Skipworth lives in Riverside, went to Patriot High School in Riverside. .6'4", 205-pounder, 23 years old. First round pick by the Marlins in 2008. Among other things, Kyle had a 31-inch vertical leap at a showcase in 2008. And the year before that, he set a California state record. He had 18 consecutive hits in a stretch in April. And for Patriot High School, he hit .584 as a senior. 2-2. Smart boy, graduated with a point grade average, 3.8. And signed with the Marlins for, let's put it this way, a lot of money. Two and two. Fouled away. So Kyle Skipworth, a youngster in whom the Marlins have a considerable investment. And they'll bring him along slowly, hoping dividends will begin to pay soon enough. He is highly rated. So down goes Kyle. We have 2 out in the 9th inning. And the batter will be Greg Dobbs.
First baseman, number 29, Greg Dobbs.
So Javi Guerra trying to finish off Dobbs, and that'll do it. Dobbs has had 2 ground balls to short and walked. The only Marlin run came on a home run by the big catcher Miguel Olivo. Dodgers with Ryu, Rodriguez, Guerrier, and Guerra. Ryu will be the winner. He'll be 4-2. The loser will be Kevin Slowey, who will be 1-3. And tomorrow will be the so-called rubber game between the Dodgers and Marlins. Capuano against Kohler. 1-1. Tom Kohler, who pitches tomorrow, is from the Bronx in New York. One ball and 1 strike. One and two. The crowd, 42,208, plus quite a few canines here tonight. The bark at the dark, a huge success. One and two. Fouled off. Seven runs, 14 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers, 1 run, 5 hits, no errors for the Marlins, and Javi trying to turn out the lights. Two and two. Guerra has made 15 pitches now. Three and two. On deck, Nick Green, the second baseman. Three and two to Dobbs. Fouled away. Dodgers trying to push aside an 8-game losing streak and get on with the season. Three and two. And line drive speared by Guerra. What a way to end it. Thank you, says D. Gordon. And for the Dodgers and Andre Ethier, a big night. Ethier with 4 hits. Smiles all around. And now the Dodgers try to start anew with Chris Capuano tomorrow against Tom Kohler. Guerra, while he was in there, made 18 pitches. So the Dodgers finally ended. Oh, it could have gotten worse. The 1992 team lost 10. The 1961 club lost 10. But that's ancient history, and the Dodgers hope the 8-game losing streak is ancient history as well. Again, a reminder, tomorrow on Mother's Day, there'll be a lot going on in the ballpark, and we sure hope you'll be out here to enjoy it. Tom Kohler, the boy from the Bronx, will be on the mound for Miami, and the Dodgers will counter with Chris Capuano. And then the final 3 games of the homestand and the Washington Nationals will be here Monday night. Stay tuned for Dodgers Live. It's coming up.